Hi folks, welcome back to the Hoard. Look at that, got charged batteries and everything. Seeing as I have a nice day out today, other than mud, I've been wanting to kind of look over some of my newer projects to see what I have here. Do I have parts or do I have something worthwhile? And to that end, I started with the TRX 250. You guys remember this? I got it from a buddy of mine. It was a $75 deal, and here it is. I wasn't going to get this for any less than $75, so it's really very hard to say, well, I could have bargained more or anything like that, right? Typically, if you're getting a quad and you got most of the pieces there, good luck spending less than $75 for it. Now, what I did not notice was a couple of things. See this red stuff here by my finger? I like to call that red death. And the reason why I call it that is a lot of times when you have this much surplus on the outside of your gasket, you also have that much surplus on the inside of your gasket, on the inside of your, in this case, you're covering up the valves and all. And a lot of times it falls off and gets into trouble. So I did not notice the red death. Wouldn't have made much difference if I did, but I did not. The other thing I didn't notice is, see how that cover is flipped up there? It's on, but flipped up. I did notice that the exhaust was not bolted on properly. Right? So, to that end, I said, before I put too much time and effort into this thing, I got to make sure what I have. And whenever I do that, I disconnect the wire harness as I've done here. And blue and yellow, where does that go to? It goes to the pulse generator. So I checked it, and it came in at about 250 ohms, which is about expected. I checked ground. I checked the this red and black, or black and red. That's the stator, which powers your CDI unit. I checked the grounds, and I even checked the three phases of the stator that gives you your 12 volts down here. Three phases go into here and comes out of here as positive and negative for your battery. Anyway, so I checked all that, and it all seemed pretty good. All the readings were about where they should be. So I said, well, let's see what happens. I put my portable CDI box on it, and just to review, this thing has a GY6 12-volt CDI unit. It's got 12 volt worth of batteries, and obviously it's got the matching coil that goes to it. So I have that going to the plug. I got ground. The red wire goes to the blue and yellow, which is the pulser, which times this thing up to fire. And I hooked up that second black wire to a ground. I set up my 12 volts, right? One directly to the starter, one to ground, and give it a little hoot of ether. Turn my little box on, and I get nothing except a really horrible sounding starter. I'm thinking this thing is working its way more and more toward parts than anything else. Unfortunately, I decided that I didn't want to cut up the wire harness. The wire harness on this thing really looks like 80-90%. I am missing the key, but I have another one of these in the shed that has a full dashboard, so I'm not worried too much about that. Yeah, I'm thinking this thing is drifting more and more toward a parts bike. For those of you guys who watch my channel regularly, I did buy a 250 SX from Ed Moore. Actually, we swapped some things. I gave him some XR80 stuff that he needed, and he gave me a 250 SX and a 200 TRX 200. I think that's the way the gig went. So on the 250 SX I got from him, the pulse generator was no good, but the motor appeared to be complete, and I got a rear end from him. So in theory, right, I can kind of cob the plastic back together again, put his rear end in it, put his engine in it, and bring this thing back to life. The gas tank, I'm not thinking so. It's a shame about this bike though, because it from the top of my head, it really looks like it was adult owned. It's not all battered up front here and so forth. It's still got the things for the tires, right? The rims aren't all bent up. The tires even seem to hold air, and quite honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they're OEM tires. So all of that really looks good. It wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing to bring this back. The exhaust system's intact. The rear end here is completely seized. I got nothing. It could be completely seized for a couple of reasons. The drum could be seized. I'm turning. It's amazing how far this grease will go. You'll literally find it everywhere. Even if you go to the bathroom, you'll even find it on your shorts. But this is completely locked up. It looks like it's in nice shape, not battered, but completely locked up. Hey! And that leads to some more thoughts. Be nice, right? You pull the axles out of there, and you see how much of it you can bring back to life. These axles do strip. I mentioned before there was a gear here, but it seems to be common that these things strip out. So if you can find that it's seized and get it apart and save the axle, that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. I gotta tell you, there are days when everything you touch like comes up roses, and days where it's a little less so. And today appears to be one of those days that's a little less so for me. It's not a matter of luck, it's just a matter of what are you working on, and what's your skill level and how well did you prepare and so forth. But if you guys remember earlier today, I tried that 56 Farad jump pack on the van and it didn't fire up. Then I went over to this thing and pulled all the plastic off. And I was really trying to impress you guys. Look at this. For $75, I got a running quad here. All I have to do is smash a rear end into it. Doesn't look like we're drifting in that direction. It looks like that's probably not going to be true. Probably this thing might be considered a good frame, but I'm not it doesn't look good from the point of view of it being a probably the engine's coming out and the tranny's coming out. So I got a frame, I got a lot of engine parts. Hopefully the head is good. What am I going to do next on it? And I'll take you guys along for the ride. Might as well finish this exploration. Probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it over to the garage somehow over here, and I'm going to put the leak back tester on it, and I'm going to see if the valves are sealing. I really wasn't hearing any putt out of the exhaust. Obviously it didn't fire, so I'm thinking there might be some other trouble. The valve was going up and down. I did check that, and it was opening and closing. But anyway, I'm probably going to drag it over here. Maybe even drag it up on that table and put the leak back tester on it. If the engine is tight, if it sealed, so to speak, and is nice and tight, I'm not blowing by the valves or the rings or anything. If I'm able to get some resistance, some pushback as I put air pressure into the spark plug hole, depending on what I see from there, I'll probably make a decision whether or not to keep moving forward on this engine or to put it in my head, oh, this thing is shot. Over here, this is one of the two bikes I got from Ed Moore. And I got this one to the point where I put the portable CDI unit on it, and I put a Honda 200S carburetor on it, and I tried to fire it up, and I got absolutely nothing. And I'm like, what's your problem here? Then I did the measurements, and it turns out that the pulse generator was opened. So what I'm going to do is I still need to pull the cover off of that thing and figure out why the pulse generator is open. Typically, if you replace both the flywheel and the stator at the same time, they're more or less interchangeable. The only thing is that's an 85 and this is an 86. And once again, hopefully they're interchangeable. They do have two different manufacturers from back then, and they did kind of swap things around a little bit. And though, yeah, they're Honda, and you know, Hondas are great, and I love Hondas, it doesn't mean the parts switch easily. You know, they're not quite as bad as a Ford, but they're getting by. Hey Roger, I'm keeping your acorn, your pine cone nice and safe here, right? Nobody's going to steal it from my truck. So Roger, we'll keep that aside for you, and hopefully I'll get out to Michigan one day and be able to deliver it personally. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed the exploration. I was hoping that this thing was going to be a lot more than parts, but I'm not drifting in that direction. If the engine was good, I easily pictured smashing a rear end onto it. Not easily pictured. I figured I would go through the trouble of smashing a rear end onto it. Given that the engine is no so good, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet. But I'm not sure I'm going to go through the trouble of bringing it all the way back to life either. Anyway, folks, I really want you all to keep your feet down. I want you to keep your heads up. Please get out there and enjoy all your days. Make sure you have fun, especially if it's nice and warm and all. You don't want these days to get by, especially in the winter. Get out, get some sun on your face, absorb a little vitamin D, and, you know, enjoy your days. Bye now, folks. Take care.